So just to say a few words about us, we are the SME partner in this project, so we were basically in charge of putting the technologies together and building this device with other SME partners, like there's a company doing the design, and we had Fraunhofer for the probes. So the question is, at the beginning, is the market ready for BabyLux? So the background of us, we are a small spin-off company from the ICFO Institute of Photonics Sciences, and we were founded in 2013. 2014, we had the first device out, which was doing DCS technology. Pretty much it's also a research device, so it's nothing that goes to clinical practice. And then we started with the BabyLux project, and I think first of all, what I want to say is that having this opportunity to taking part in such a project for us as a small company was really challenging, but also all the people involved there were really highly motivated. I think it's a challenge that if we keep people interested, now the contact with the clinicians, with the technology experts, and with us as a small company is a real big chance for us to develop in the future. And if we keep the motivation high, at some point we will have the technology where it is, even though we heard a lot about the shortcomings, but the point is that we need to have the motivation behind continue with this. And now we are here in 2017. We have another project being involved, which is LUCA, which is also based on light technology together with ultrasound. So this is a very active area. And I think of course, when we see that the European Union is investing some money, we first have to look, is there really something that people care about such that they are willing to spend some money on it? So if we look at the overall market, there we have the global fetal monitoring and NICU equipment market. It divides into basically three subsections, and we tried at the beginning as not being economy experts, we try to look where are we situated in this field. So we have the NICU equipment market, where we typically have thermal control equipment that goes in many units, phototherapy units. Then the laboratory delivery and equipment market, antepartum fetal monitors, intrapartum fetal monitors, and the third one, which is basically where we would fall into, and this is other laboratory delivery and NICU equipment market, and there specifically the monitoring equipment is where we are. So what we want to know at the beginning is, of course, is this something where there's some dynamic that people are interested and in the future will continue to be interested? And what we look in the first place is there some growth, which we see here with, for our monitor equipment market, we do have some growth. And why do we have some expectation that in the future this will continue to grow is basically, as we heard before, the premature birth will still continue and they will rise. We have some factors which drive this growth, and for example, the maternal age and technology advances are factors that come into play here. Since we are based in Spain, we try to look a little bit into the hospital numbers. Of course, Spain is just a small part of the EU 28, so we are about 9% of the populations. So we looked at the numbers of the hospitals and incubators that we have in Spain. And actually, it proves that these numbers are quite reasonable and high, so we are addressing an interesting field with the technology. If you look a little bit worldwide, of course, we always see that the US is basically very leading in, of course, in the use of the in the economical strength in this field. But also when you look at Europe, we have here Spain, UK, Italy, France, and Germany. So there's a huge market that we can address. And here in Europe, we are quite well situated in this economic field. Since we have now our technology out there, basically what we also wanted to know at the beginning is, of course, how do we compare to any other things that is already out there? It's an attempt to address this, in a, let's say, more rough scoring system. We have blood flow and oxygenation, and we looked in other technology, or we look in compared to other technologies. At the bottom, we have, on the bottom left, we have TRS and DCS, which are basically the two technologies which are combined in BabyLux. And then we have other, let's say, more simple NIRS technologies, which do not measure the blood flow, like frequency domain NIRS and continuous wave NIRS. And in general, always we compare ourselves to the MRI market, but the problem there is actually that we have a technology which is quite pricey, and what we are addressing here, real-time monitoring and portable, this is something for MRI that we basically say there we can give an added value that MRI, despite being a fantastic technology, cannot provide. Okay, so of course you can always claim that something you do is interesting, but if no one else does it, then of course the question is it really such interesting? If it would be such interesting, there must be some competition. At the present, if you look at this chart, we basically looked in the overall market and tried to get comparable technologies. As you see in this case, in the blue cycles, we have two technologies, and both of them are located in US companies. These devices are for sure not clinical devices. They are investigational devices as well, but they are pushed, and there's a technology coming up. For example, with ORNIM, we have a technology which is addressing as well the blood flow and the oxygenation. In the MetaOx, we have a technology which is combining our technology, DCS, together with frequency domain NIRS. So the fact that other companies are investing money in this is a kind of a proof that the interest is not just theoretical. There's a real need, and as soon as these devices are sound enough to be released to a clinical medical market, they will come out. So there's a need that we really keep trying to improve our technology as well. Okay, there's a short timeline, and the project kickoff in 2013, everything started, and in the previous picture I saw from Alessandro that he was showing a lot of the mock-up, which is here in about mid-2015. We basically were able to release the first demonstrator in, I think it was June 2016 when we delivered it to Denmark. And in September we delivered the second one to Milan, here to Mangiagalli, Politecnico Mangiagalli. One thing I wanted to say is, because we specifically for New Gom was mentioning that there's some kind of a decision, do we go for a clinical product, do we go for a research device? I think right now we are clearly a research device, but we need the feedback. I think the big advantage of the project was that there is a physicist, and I would count me also a little bit on that side. We do a lot of nice experiments in the lab. We have everything well under control, but it's very different, and I thank you for putting a picture in your talk where you show the baby how the situation is, because it shows the difference, the discrepancy in the environments we are working in. And I think with this feedback that basically what your requirements are and what your limitations are in the practice, that helps us to basically do a better job. For that reason, since we said a lot about the sensors, this is for me an engineering thing. It's a challenging thing, but at some point we will come up with a much better solution and we can solve this. As soon as the only thing that is a real requirement, that the application and the expectation that we get in accuracy and in precision does the right thing. Then we will solve the engineering part and we will get really what we want. So I would see BabyLux still as a research device, which goes probably to another feedback round and goes through improvements. Okay, of course, for looking at the business, you always have to look for the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. As I mentioned here, as a European project, us as a small partner. If you look at the threats, there can be big players. Market entrance is sometimes a question. Of course, you have to grow in case this really picks up. And for being very dynamic, you can always expect that other competitors, like we saw for US companies, they come in and they might be a strong threat for this technology if you're not fast enough for moving forward. And yeah, in the last place, regulatory compliance is a big thing where a lot of investment needs to be put in. Okay, but on the other hand, all this dynamics, the market is growing, and we have a unique know-how, which we are putting into operation, and we are now already this step closer to the clinics compared to other places. So the US companies I was showing, they're not really ahead in the sense that they are much closer to the market. They have much better funding, so they can do this step, but they're not yet there. So we have certainly our big chances by doing the feedback and improving our systems to still be very strong in comparison to the competition. Okay, these are basically what was already shown concerning the achievements of the project. In this case, okay, these are the things we are proud of because we achieved it right now, and we know very well where we still have to improve. This improvement, I think, if we go to a timeline, we have the BabyLux project. Month 40, this is now where we end. This is basically as of today. I would say that basically for the testing and prototype optimization, we should look for something like a horizon of a year. In this year, we have already basically committed that we will continue with the data acquisition, and we will use this data and all the experience. It's not just the data itself. It's all the practical experiences that we get as a feedback from the medical partners that helps us to improve the system. And therefore, I think this 1 year is the crucial part where we get to the point that we say, okay, now we have the application, and then, of course, there would be some investment needed to go for clinical trials to make it a product which is finally CE marked. So I think the big discrepancy is in terms of viewing from the medical doctors. You like, for example, very much to remind me or remind us that you want a nurse to run this device, and basically she's busy, she doesn't want to spend much time in reading any description, looking at any data evaluation to make the instrument well. On the other side, we are basically at the labs with a very controlled condition and always know, okay, if there's a new parameter, how can we evaluate this, that we have it well controlled for our measurements. I think this gap is where we have to get together. And right now, the nurse is, of course, our long-term target, but first of all, we need to get the time in between. I hope that this year is something reasonable, that we can get a major step ahead with that. Okay. Yeah, so from this point, I just can say that we are highly motivated to do all this, and would be very welcoming to, in this phase, with this knowledge now, to do this probes better, to do any convenience in operating the device better, to get to the point that we can really claim that you can easily operate it, and the data quality is, of course, much better than with all the shortcomings. Thank you very much.
Ugo, I want to ask you something. Thank you for the presentation. It was very good. And it's very brave of you to show your competitors in a public place. It's very brave of you to show your competitors in a public place. And as you showed, you don't have European competitors. That means you have a big chance to develop And what you showed to commercialization, you need more or less 3 years. In these processes, it's engineers, but also it's connected with clinical testing. I think it's important that also the hospitals are more involved. I mean, it's just a comment in order to continue further, because they will benefit. You can make an agreement that they will benefit of the device afterwards, but you need to get on board, for example, Martin and the others to do more testing, to use it in their places. They have additional funding, maybe it can help. Because I think you have a big chance to work further. If you manage to get another kind of project pilot line, depends how you develop it. Maybe you need also another partner with you, kind of SME.
Of course, the first part of, let's say, comment, of course, it's more than welcome to always get more feedback and get more partners involved. The devices are there, so we basically can take advantage of even providing them for study campaigns with some prearranged time frames to help to boost this process of developing something better. That's for sure. There's absolutely no question that this is very welcome. And the second part was basically concerning the European getting some funding, was that? Yeah. So, of course, a little bit due to the background, we were looking in funding, in public funding opportunities, and we will continue to do so. So we basically now got an SME instrument phase 1. We are going to continue in that sense. But I think if it really comes to, let's say, scaling up, of course, private investment would be also something that we have to look into. So since before the question was how much would you evaluate the cost when you are at the end of, or when you are studying for the clinical trials to go to the CE marking, and I said something very vaguely between 2 and 4 million. That's a big number, and that certainly is something where we also will try to approach private funding for. But all this depends, of course, that we really can present a very clear application, which is, and it's a sound case for the clinics. That's, of course, where you have to be convincing, and I think that's where we have to look into. And we have also to have a little bit of a broad view. We heard different application. Now with this sensor, I can do this application better, or that application is not so well. We have to be open for several things, and just pick at the first step the most promising out of it, and try to mature this, that we have a credible case, that really we can do something better for the clinics. If this is done, then also private funding, I think, is reasonable to have good chances to get this forward.
Thank you. Just I wanted to tell you that if you are looking for funding, you need to look in different areas and to be open for a different partnership also. Sure. Because as it's growing, and 3 years is nothing in comparison to the project that I have the others, that needs at least 10 years to get to the market. 3 years is nothing. You can really be one of the best in the field. But you have to open your way of thinking. You have to look also regional fundings from your country. At least 5 countries are involved here. Plus, once you are in stable phase, as you said, to involve hospitals, they have another kind of fundings on the top of the EU funding that you.
So Tanya, you are saying that you're running out of money, that the European Commission is running out of money.
No, we are not running, but we are very specific, you know. So when we open a call, I don't know how much you can fit on this. I mean, we don't give somebody because he deserves. We give because the work program is like this, and it's decided on high level where the funding to go. But even funding in EU level, there is different programs, not so only the ICT Photonics, there is health program, there is societal challenges. In ours, what I mentioned to Gord, maybe if you manage pilot line, because there you have less competitiveness.
Thank you very much.